So I've had a lot of emails. You guys have been sending me emails asking me about putting music videos on with the TADs, which I used to do for other loudspeakers. I will be doing those for sure. I will be making videos. For now, you have been getting a ton of these short videos that hopefully have been instrumental for you. Even comparisons between the Wadax and the MSB player, the Cascade, excuse me, the Wadax player and the MSB DAC, the Cascade to be specific. So it's been great discussions, great comments, by the way. So I really appreciate it when you guys comment on my videos. Let it be known. Let me know your sentiments. Obviously, be respectful. Okay, don't go after me with an AK-47, right? I am open to a discussion. I am open to respect your point of view. I know a lot of you are vocal about the fact that a lot of this stuff is overpriced. I respect that. I understand it's not for everyone's bank account. 100%. But the amount of bashing that the TAD products have taken due to their price points has been incredibly shocking to me because although I am not necessarily in disagreement, I am shocked at how many of you speak very openly about how overpriced you feel these products are. The CR1TX behind me was released originally in its first iteration back in 2012. I want to say maybe around there, and it had an MSRP of around 40 grand, I believe, 35 to $40,000. Well, it has been reportedly going up in price yet again. It is now $95,000 to my understanding. So it went up to 95K. So it's getting more and more expensive, to say the least. If you got $95,000 to spend, these speakers are going to have their hands full in terms of competition. I mentioned to you Alexia V from Wilson Audio, if you're a Wilson lover, which I like the brand as well. I also mentioned Magico S5s MK3s, the latest S5 Magicos. If you want to do something even more affordable, you can look at the S3 MK3s. Even Focal Maestros are an option as well, a speaker that I really liked. There are many options for Borison as well. You got the new T series from Borison. And even if you wanted to do a Standmount speaker, you could be looking at the Borison M1, which is like 99 grand. So there are many options at that particular price point. However, I gotta say this. Okay, I gotta keep it real. Gotta keep it 100% with y'all. What these TADs do, specifically the CR1TXs, which, in my opinion, and I consider my opinion a qualified opinion because I've owned the product. I can speak based on ownership of the product, not by reading forums or what magazines are saying. I can tell you the following. It is one of the best speakers I have ever owned. The TAD CR1TX is one of the best and finest loudspeakers I have ever owned. I will not say the opposite. I will be very honest about that. If you're looking for what could arguably be the best stand mount speaker, I would say to you, the TAD CR1TX needs to be at the top of your list. If you are a person that has a room that's not necessarily too big, but you want extreme performance, you want to get some of the most accurate presentations that money can buy in a small space, the CR1TX will be the number one choice in my opinion. I'm telling you right now, the speakers that you see behind me are approximately 8.5 feet away from my listening chair. Okay, and I'm going to tell you, even though they're not set up where there should be, because you see the Martins right behind it, right? I have Martin loudspeakers right behind it. I'm going to tell you right now, even like that, they are an incredible performer. So again, if those of you that are looking for a hell of a loudspeaker in a relatively small size room, I am telling you right now, you are going to have a hard time beating the TAD CR1TXs. It is going to be a difficult speaker to beat. That doesn't come without any challenges. I talked about the need for quality amplification. I talked about the need for bi-amplification if you can afford it. Meaning, you want to put quality watts. You want to put, hopefully, at least a couple of stereo amplifiers so that you can do some sort of vertical biamping, horizontal biamping. You can definitely get the speaker to do things that it's not even supposed to be doing when you look at their size. They're not exactly small speakers, but they're also not massive structures by any stretch of the imagination. So you guys need to understand that when you get to this level, everything will matter. And this leads me to my next point. Yesterday, I had one of a manufacturer from basically the owner of TriPoint. If you know anything about TriPoint, they make grounding boxes. Okay, everything grounding related. TriPoint has been an innovator. I dare to say they're the ones who really started this whole entire conversation about grounding. Way before Shunyata got involved with grounding with their latest Altera X grounding boxes, way before Synergistic Research started doing it, TriPoint has been the leading force when it comes to grounding. Okay. And yesterday, him and I were talking. He brought some special grounding devices. Let me see if I can pull up a picture here with my phone so that I can show you what I'm talking about. Here's a picture. Hopefully you guys can see it. This was yesterday, okay? You guys see that? That is on an XLR device. You plug that into an open female input on the back of your integrated or whatever amp or preamp, okay? And that right there. We plugged it in. And I'm going to tell you right now what I heard was a significant improvement across the board. So then he went to his bag, pulled out another trick out of his bag, pulled out a second one, and we plugged that into the back of the MSB. So we had one of these plugged into the back of the MSB and one on the back of the solution integrated. 1 plus 1 was equals to 10. I repeat, 1 plus 1 was equals to 10. It was drastic, the improvement that I heard. Incredible. The bass went from sounding boomy, which I never detected any sort of boominess, to actually sounding more linear, less boosted, less overhang. There was so much more definition across the mid-range. The improvements were astonishing, to say the least. And so we were playing, okay, the reason why I'm saying this to you is because we were playing with these TADs. We were trying to understand, how they reacted to all these changes. He busted out some speaker cables that he built that they're not for sale. There are some prototype speaker cables that he wanted to try on these speakers, right? So we went from using these speaker cables that I have from Jorma Statement Edition speaker cables, which is what you guys have been hearing. And we went and removed them and introduced his speaker cables. The change went from being very open and airy to being a little more recessed, a little warmer. It lost a lot of three-dimensionality, the system, okay? It lost it. And that's exactly why he came to my lab. He wanted to hear his product, his cables to be specific. And when we heard that those cables basically go backwards in comparison to the German statement cables, he even said it. He says, damn, I hear it. The system went backwards. So he stood up, right? He stood up. And you see this here? Hopefully you can see. You guys see this, right? Speaker cables right here, right? So they're going from the integrated all the way to my TADs, right? He actually put those speaker cables on cable lifters. On top, those cable lifters were on top of the apex to essentially stop any kind of friction between the apex and the speaker cables that are running on top of the apexes, right? So we put some lifters on those speaker cables on top of the apex. And the speakers opened up in size. There was a lot more definition. Essentially, we heard some improvements. This is the level of transparency that these TADs have. I was even shocked yesterday when I heard that. I couldn't believe that they would actually let me hear things that most loudspeakers essentially will never have the ability to convey to you, to tell you that something changed. And so this is why I feel this is one of the most impressive loudspeakers that money can buy. If you're looking for a speaker that will pay you those dividends for every dollar that you spend on your system, whether it be outlets, whether it be a freaking fuse, whether it be cable lifters, these things will let you hear those changes. It is phenomenal. Okay. So anyway, that said, okay, it's not necessarily a speaker that you can put with any sort of electronic. In my opinion, the solution integrated, the 331, which we're going to talk about, has completely transformed the sound of these speakers. Incredible clarity. It's a dead neutral speaker, as I said on my last video, so it sits right in the middle. It's not going to be a cold sounding speaker. It's not going to be a warm sounding speaker. It's right in the middle.